Hello and welcome to the Special Interest Podcast, where we listen to your niche interests that you have no reason to know so much about. For those of you who don't know, my name is Evan Callahan, and I am your host for this podcast. My goal is to give the people who have an interest that they know more than they should have an outlet to speak and to be heard. Today's episode is about the strange rise and fall and possible continuation of the once very popular children's toy, the Furby. To tell us all about this strange but interesting story is the wonderful Sophia Simpson. Sophia, it is so great to have you today.
Hi.
Sophia, please tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into your special interest.
Just like anything?
Anything.
My name is Sophia Simpson. I am a sophomore at Malloy University, as you probably could expect. I'm an art major, and I have 3 minors. I am a film and television minor, an art therapy minor, and a art and new media innovation minor.
Listen, Sophia, I thank you for taking the time out of your very, very busy day to sit here with me today and share with us your special interest. Now let's get started on Furby, shall we? For your Furbyism, I'm going to call it now. When did all of it begin?
It's hard to pinpoint exactly when I started being interested in Furbies. It was sometime when I was like maybe 9 or 10, because that was when, not to get started in the different generations, but that was when the Furby boom was the current Furby that they were producing. But I believe around that time, my grandma had given me one of her original Furbies. She had a collection of the original Furbies, and she had given me one. It was a white one, the snowball coloration. And I believe that was what started it, because I had one that I would see them in the stores, and I was like, oh, I really want them. And at some point, I don't know what led to me being like obsessed with them, but then I really wanted them. I would watch videos and stuff, and I would look up information about them. At some point, I discovered all the different generations that were made, and I was very, very into them. This interest lasted a while. It was very big for me when I was in 4th and kind of fizzled out sometime in 5th grade. After that, like, Furbies were still something was like a thing that I liked, but I wasn't really into them. It was more just like, oh yeah, this is a thing that I happen to like. If I see a Furby thing, maybe I'll get it. Because at that point, there weren't really any new Furbies. By the time I was like in middle school, there weren't really any new Furbies anyway. My Furby obsession didn't really come back until I started college, because that was around the time the new ones were coming out. The new ones that they're currently making, when they came out, I wasn't really like. Obviously they're Furbies. I still like them. My mom got me some. I'm happy that she did, and I was still, whenever I would see something Furby related, I would still like enjoy having it. But my Furby obsession, where like wanting to collect again, came back sometime in college. Like freshman year. I don't know why, but just something my brain was like, oh yeah, I like Furbies. I would like to start collecting them. Maybe I realized I was an adult and I could actually start like looking on eBay and buying them and stuff.
Exactly. As an adult, you actually have money.
As an adult, I'm like, oh wait, I could actually buy them. Because as a kid, obviously I was limited because there were some in the store. I couldn't get them and now they don't make them anymore. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it.
What do Furbies mean to you? Do they have like a special connection? Do they mean more than what they should probably?
I mean, they definitely mean more than they probably do. I think, Furby people are Furby people are a kind of people. There's different types. But, for me personally, besides just liking them for some reason, I feel like I have a connection to my grandma because she had them. Because she gave me her collection. She had a select few of the original ones that I keep on, the top of my bookshelf in my room. I do see it as, a connection to her because she did like Furbies as well. So that kind of adds a sentimental thing to it for me. But other than that, I just generally like them more than the average person should. I just I don't know, something about them. I've always enjoyed Furbies.
Now let's talk about the first Furby craze in 1998, if I'm correct.
Yes.
When they first released, right?
When the Furby first came out, there wasn't really anything like it. It was. There's been cases of things like this happening before. I assume this has happened before the Furby, but it was one of the many cases where a new toy comes out, it becomes like a fad. Like a very in the moment obsession where people are lining up outside of stores, stealing them from each other, literally waiting outside of a store in the middle of the night.
Like very cliche stuff, right?
Yeah, the idea of think of a Black Friday scenario of oh, the new toy just came out. Grown-ass adults are stealing, ripping toys out of children's hands. I've seen a few videos from the 90s of when this was happening, because that Christmas of that year they were very popular, very, very popular. Think of to compare it to modern times, kind of the Labubu craze. Not the same. It was a little more
I don't think it was as
It was more genuine than the Labubu craze. Labubus live in a world of the internet where people were oh, this thing. It's a little different than that.
Labubus weren't crazy, but I know Furbies were crazy.
Furbies were much bigger and more genuine, I would say.
It's kind of I can give you an example. It's kind of like how the modern Pokemon enjoyer is for the TCG stuff.
a little
Like
different.
how people line up through the Target door to
Yeah.
just get Pokemon cards when
I
it
would
first
say
released.
it's similar and different because Furbies have always been in this weird window of like at least at the time they were very popular when they first came out. Everyone knows what a Furby is, but at the same time they're also kind of like niche and not well known and also hard to find at the same time. There's in a weird middle ground, I'd say. At least every Furby after, but they're very crazy at the time. And then they made a lot. They were doing very well, and then they only lasted from 1998 to 2002 because like around like the middle of that they dropped significantly in sales. And by like the it called Generation 8 because they, or I guess Wave 8 of the Furbies that they produced, like some like by that point, by 2002, the sales were so bad that they didn't even sell them in but like all the countries. They were only, you could only find, they're very hard to find. Like the last wave that they ever made of the original Furbies, of like the original line, they're very hard to find because they were only sold in a few countries, and half the time they don't even speak English. They're like in other languages. So because they fell so hard, and that kind of is a pattern with Furby generations, I would say. I like the first generation probably did the best, and basically every generation after, up until I would say the current one, also didn't do very well. Like they made sales, obviously they make a bunch of them, but then they just would fall or they just wouldn't last very long. And different ones did better than others. It just depends on the direction they were going. Because I think the fun thing about it is just because there's been so many generations between when they first were created and the ones that exist now, you can really see the developments in how they catered children's toys, specifically girl catered toys, to the time. Because the original ones have like, you can kind of see also the toys that surrounded them. The original ones kind of are their own thing. They have like realistic eyes, very like a mellow, soft kind of look to them. They're fuzzy, they're round. The ones that came after it, the 2005 Furbies, they go for a much more realistic, almost like creepy kind of look, because that was during the time when For Real Friends first came out, which was a toy line that there was their competitor, which obviously did much better. Those ones did not do well, like at all. They only lasted for like till 2007. They barely made any. They also just are.
I want to combine these two questions for you,
Yes.
just to make it very simplified. The two questions I want to combine into one is, why were the original Furby so popular when they first released? Like, just if there's just a why, because as you said, people were lining up and trampling people to get these Furbies. Is there any reason why? And I also wanted to add that question, like, why were Furbies created? Like, is there a certain reason why Furbies were created, and like who was the certain demographic? Was it for kids or was it for adults? Because it seemed to be more of the adults buying it.
I mean, it's obviously a kid's toy. All the commercials were catered to kids. It was kind of the, oh, you're a little friend. You have a little pet that can learn English, and like, which is not true. It just would eventually start speaking English the more time you had it. But like, it kind of wasn't like a must-have era where like, because it was a new toy, that thing, it was probably pretty new. I'm sure stuff like that was kind of like, it existed, but like probably nothing like this particularly. It probably was kind of a big thing at the time. Like, oh, a little guy, a little friend type toy. And I find it interesting because obviously like just with the way that they're produced, because Furbies have always had like it's basically the same toy, but it comes in a billion different colors. That's kind of how Furbies have always been. It obviously does seem to cater to collectors at the same time. Even at the time, it kind of feels like it does, because there were multiple colors that they would make. They would make a lot of colors. What's the point of doing that if you're not expecting people to buy more than one, more than likely? It really just had like the reason they were so popular at the time is because it was new, it was fresh. It became like the fad of that year of like, oh, this is the new thing. We must get it. People want to get it.
Something along those, was it also the case that just like the technology was new, or was it not new at all?
I'd imagine it was somewhat new.
Was it nothing groundbreaking, or was the Furby groundbreaking?
I mean, I don't know where to really put it on that. I feel like just the overall of what a Furby is kind of was groundbreaking. I don't know about the technology per se, but definitely like I don't think anything like that really existed. Because there's been a lot of like Furby as a concept is a very like its own thing. There's been a lot of like things that kind of copy it, rip off it, especially nowadays. Like stuff like that nowadays is not that uncommon, but at the time I feel like a toy like that, a little creature that talks and like moves around and can do this, can do that, I feel like was kind of new for the time. So it probably did have that going for it. I know that the people who made it definitely put a lot of thought into the designing it and how they were going to go about making it. And like they tried other things, because there's this thing called the Shelby, which came out in 2001, which it's like a Furby, but it's not a Furby. It's like a little like,
and they're really ugly.
I love them. Don't call them ugly. They're just beautiful little babies. They're these little guys.
It's okay to have opinions.
They're kind of like a Furby. They're a little shorter than a Furby. They are from that line though, the original line. They have a beak. They have the Furby stuff. They have like the Furby kind of speech, but they're called Shelbys, and they have like a little shell on their back. They're kind of like crab Furbies in a way. And I think they would have wanted to do more like that had the toy line not like fallen so hard. I think they did have plans for other stuff. There's like proof of like a lot of prototypes and things, and like it's just a shame that it fell so hard. And this happens with multiple generations, because they had plans for other like colorations or different editions, kind of like the Shelby, but they just didn't end up going with them just because it died out so quickly.
Along with the lines of you saying that they died out so quickly,
Mm-hmm.
why did they die out so quickly? Like, why did the Furby brand start to become so unpopular, and why did the Furby brand just start to die?
I'm not particularly sure why it fell so hard. I think it was just a matter of like because it was kind of a fad of like, oh, we gotta get this, that it kind of was like, oh, that's it, that's all there is.
Would you kind of say it's like a trend?
It was a
Let's
trend.
say like a
It was definitely a trend.
Like
I mean, kinda
comparable
like
to like a
how-
TikTok trend.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anytime something gets really popular and everyone's shoving each other and trying to kill each other just to get it, then it's like, oh, who cares now? It's kind of like, oh, everyone bought them for no reason in a way. I feel like Furbies was, again, given the time period, probably was a little more genuine when it came to people getting them. But I do feel like the popularity, like, diminishing was just as a result of, like,
People growing up, maybe.
people growing up, people, like, turning away from that kind of toy, because it was, like, a big, like, oh, everyone's getting this, I want to get it. I think that's why it fell so hard. A lot of stuff that gets really popular really fast, because it got popular really fast, ends up falling very quickly. It had a good few years, but by 2001, it was kind of, like, already dying.
Yeah. Can you describe like what a wave of the Furby is? Like the different, not generations, but each different. No, the waves.
Oh, the waves within the generation?
Yeah.
So I would say each wave of Furby, they do this now is they kind of produce like a select few colorations of Furbies. It's kind of like the test run, because with the first generation there seems to be 6 each, like 6 Furbies per wave. Like usually when it comes to their merchandise, you see a lot of the original like few waves of Furbies, like the leopard print one, the snowball, which is the white one, witch's cat, which is the black one, skunk. I feel like skunk often, which is the black and white one. That one often is seen a lot. Tiger, Dalmatian, things like that. It's mostly just like they're producing a new wave of colors, a new color scheme.
Just to keep people hooked.
Just keep people hooked. Just like, oh, we're making more. Oh, we made a pink one now. We made a tie-dye one. They also had a lot of special editions. That was a fun thing about the original Furby. They never really fully brought back the same, is because there was, I think the original line of Furbies had the most Furbies of any. Maybe, I mean, now the current generation might be
Catching up,
if not now, because the thing. I mean, I'll get to that, but the original Furbies had like a whole like line of special editions. I have, because the ones my grandma gave me, I have the Valentine's Day one, the patriotic one, which is like a Statue of Liberty America one, and I have the springtime one, which is a purple one.
Mm-hmm.
But there was, of the special editions, there was like a graduation one. There's a wizard. You like the wizard?
I do enjoy the wizard.
They actually made a Millennium and Year 2000 edition one, which have the word Millennium on them, which was for 2000, which I think was cool. They loved making like themed ones. For some reason, there's a racing one. I don't really know why that one exists.
Isn't there a Bumblebee one that's really ugly, or is that something
that's
else?
just a
Is
normal.
that Ladybug?
Ladybug's ugly to you. Bumblebee's ugly. I mean, they're not great colors.
I mean, you disagree with me on
some Furby designs
Bumblebee.
are better than others. I wouldn't say there's any that I hate. I don't hate any of them, but there's ones that I definitely like better than others. There's definitely colors that I think work better than others. I think purple's a nice color for Furbies.
They should not
and
be
also
brown.
just like neutral colors work well. That's another thing to note is as time went on with kids' toys, they got more techno-colored, they got more bright, they got more colorful. The original lines are very.
They were
like,
very muted.
very muted, very like natural,
Dull,
natural
and dull.
natural colors. Browns and blacks and
They were very
grays.
boring though. They didn't really catch
A little
anyone's
boring,
attention
but that wasn't
until
really a thing at the time. Kids needed more attention because very attention grabbing now. Everything needs to be colorful and bright and flashy. Their personalities got a lot more vibrant too, because they used to be a lot more docile, and now they're very like hyperactive, especially the Furby Booms. Very hyperactive, very like ooh party time kind of thing. Because that's just how kids' toys, especially girl toys, kind of have went. The iterations you can really see how time has passed when it comes to like the way they present toys for children. And the characterization of them.
With this generation of Furby ending, and it being so long ago, how much does one cost now of the 1998
Oh, it
Furby?
depends. I mean, because the 1998 Furbies, it's a mix because they're the easiest ones to find because so many were made.
Really?
Definitely, the most Furbies that were ever made of any of them would have been from the original line because every other line didn't do as well. It's like the 2005s, I would say, are the hardest to find because so little were made because they did so bad. That's what the funky Furbies are really hard to find.
But for this first generation, how much would one cost?
I would say it really depends. For some of the like the generic ones, like Snowball Leopard, I've seen ones for as low as like 35. Like new in the box, I'm going off new in the box. If you find one, just toss it around. It doesn't really matter.
Because you want new in the box.
I want new in the box. I only want new in the box. But new in the box can range from like the lowest usually is in the 30s for the generic ones. I've seen people go higher for generic ones, but more often than not, the average price is somewhere between like 70 to 100 for like a nice Furby. The special editions can range because sometimes people oversell themselves, sometimes people undersell themselves. It
And in
depends.
in your expert opinion, that's worth price.
It depends on the Furby. There's some Furbies where I'm like, I'm not paying that much, but there's other Furbies where I'm like, okay, I can see why that's $200.
Like I would say for the more generic ones, paying over $100 is not worth it.
No, most of them are not worth it. But like the special editions, I get being $100. It depends on how rare they are. Some of them are not as rare as others. The Angel Furby I've seen for usually 200 something. That one I get. That one's kind of harder to find. Most of the special
I
editions.
thought that one was very rare, or am I thinking of a different one?
The Angel one's on the rarer side. Some of the special editions are less rare. The contest prize ones, like the Kid Cuisine one, that one's extremely popular. That's more
Isn't
what
that
it
like
is.
36,000?
Oh, the current one that I've seen online that is a new in the box, because also, I mean, as of the current year, I'm sure stuff's been bought. There probably were times where they were available that are not now. But like as of currently, from what I've seen on eBay, the current listing for a Kid Cuisine Furby that's new in the box is around $39,000, which is very overselling itself.
But you want it.
But I wouldn't mind having one of those for a completionist reason. But like, I'm not paying that.
Listen, if you had $1 million to spare, you're gonna
if I had $1 million, I would buy all the Furbies I want because I would love to find them all. I would love to collect them all, but there's ones that I want over others.
Even the ones you have right now, which do you wish they were in a box?
I just want new in the box because I'm germophobic, if I'm being completely honest. No, but like, no, I'm new in the box is more of just like, besides wanting to be like clean and new, it's also because it's more preserved if it's new in the box, in my opinion. The ones that I have are my grandmother's, so I don't mind them not being new in the box. She has the boxes of some of them, but like, I don't mind those ones not being new in the box because those are personal ones. But for ones that I'm buying, I feel like I care more about the price and like what I'm paying for if it's new, because then it means it has not been touched, it is clean, and it's also probably the best condition it can be because, you know, it hasn't been exposed to anything. And I think it's best because, again, this is like a, what, like 30?
It's reaching 30. It's like 28 years old.
Oh, no.
Nearly.
We're in 2026. Yeah, so it's almost
26.
30. Yeah, would it be 30 by now? Almost, yeah.
Close.
Close, yeah. No, it's almost a 30-year-old toy.
That's how I feel with Pokemon cards.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like a neck breather and like a mouth breather every time I go to a card store and buy cards I like. But to wrap up this generation, in your expertise opinion, what went wrong with this era of the Furby?
I don't think anything really went wrong. I think for a Furby, it's probably the Furby in its best state. Like, I feel like no other, like, I like some of the later ones. I do like the current one, but I feel like none of them really capture what a Furby was the way the original ones were. I think the reason they fell is because it's, like, a niche toy. It got very popular, and then it fell because, again, it's a niche toy that I feel like a niche audience likes. And like many things, people who are just going off of, oh, this is popular, this is new, this is trending. Kind of, whenever things like that happen, it ends up leading to its fall. Because also they lose value. Yeah. At least at the time. They're valuable now because they're hard to find. Yeah. And also, you know... But, like, they definitely, you know, that's probably why, because it went up so high so quickly and it fell very hard because of it.
After this, you know, after the original Furby went away in 2002, it took them a little bit to get back on their feet, right? The Furby brand, they took a little hiatus, if you will. Yeah.
They always take hiatuses.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that.
They got to make a new one.
It doesn't take that long to make new ones, though.
No, but they got to give it time to be like, let's make a new one, you know.
So... when did the next generation release? In
2005.
2005?
Yes.
And what's it called?
They're known as the Emototronic Furbies. They were going for something different. I'm not sure why they're called that. I think that has something to do with maybe what they were, like, either the brand or, like, how they were made. Because most of the original ones are referred to, like, as Tiger Electronics because that's the brand that made them, Tiger Electronics.
What did the company do differently to try to revive the Furby this time?
I don't know why they went in this direction. I assume it has something to do with toys of this era because, again, For Real Friends were kind of becoming a thing. I think this was kind of... because a lot of toys from this era end up having more of a realistic look. They were trying to change the Furby to be more realistic. They're soft. They're, like, not round. They're kind of, like, more, like... They're more animal shaped, I would say. Their beaks are like rubber and like flesh
For
colored.
those
Their
of you
eyes look
listening
fleshy.
on on a
They
site where
don't
we
look.
can give visuals, I'm gonna pop up a
They
picture of it
don't
right
look.
now. It's not good looking.
They don't look anything like a Furby. Like they are a Furby, but like these are the most. They're very different. They're also very big. They're much bigger than.
But for those of you who are listening, just listening, please look up a 2005 Furby. You are gonna hate
I
it.
will admit they're ugly. They are very ugly. They're the worst looking.
But
ones.
you're ugly.
I like them
like-
because they're Furbies. If they weren't, if it wasn't for my love of Furbies, I would not like these ultimately. But I still want one because I like Furbies. They have a charm to them. They have a charm to them, but because they're Furbies, like they're a little ugly. I don't get why they went with the feet design. The Furby babies of this one, I like them, but like they are.
I can assume why this generation
this one
was
did not
only
do
2
well.
years.
This one did not do well
because of how disgusting.
Nobody
it looks.
wanted this thing. I mean, people.
Any
did.
fun facts about this Furby line besides the fact that it was so disgusting?
I mean, their competitor was For Real Friends, so that's kind of why they look the way that they do. Because again, that was I'm guessing the toy thing of this era. They were trying something different.
They shouldn't have.
They really shouldn't have. That's why I like that every other generation kind of went. That every other generation goes off of the original rather than whatever this thing was doing. Because they strayed away a lot from the original. Every other iteration goes.
Weren't
off the
there
original.
baby versions of this?
Yes, that's what I was saying. The baby ones are also very interesting in design. They only made 4. And they made a decent amount of colors for this one. They tried to do something called the Funky Furbies, which is these Furbies but with colors. Because they're also just a typical kind of muted colors. These ones have like slightly brighter. My favorite one is the purple and green one. It's like a minty green color. I like that one. If I were to ever try to get one of these, I want to get that one. But they're very
You don't have any of these?
No, I do not have any of
Good.
these. I would love to have one of these though. I really want that one. They're very hard to find.
I don't
new
want
in the
any of
box, which I mean, there's a bit of a concern with them being new in the box because they came with batteries, so they might.
Oh, so the batteries are gonna like
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Funky Furbies did not though, so that's why I do want one of them because they had a try me thing. The original ones, like the normal ones, had a try me like circle button thing that you could try them.
stick your finger in and do.
Yeah.
Hello.
And it's just like, yeah, so they came with batteries, which is the concern. I don't think the baby ones came with batteries either. But the Funky Furbies, they also did not do very well. By this point, they were already dwindling. This was like 2006. And like, again, most of these were only sold in a few countries, not really America. And most of them, if you find them, probably will be another language as well. They had tails. They were trying something different. Didn't do well. I see the charm in them, but only because I'm a Furby person. And Furby people tend to like them. Japan really likes them. There's a big Furby community in Japan, like most things. But the Japanese Furby fans do really like
The specific
2005.
line, really?
Yes, they do. That's why the merchandise that they make, like the current day merchandise that they do.
Do you think it did
bringing
like
back?
significantly better there?
Oh, probably. There's a big market for Furbies in Japan. Even the original ones, they had their own like games and designs and toys and stuff and merchandise that was Japan exclusive. They had their own like cartoon design for the original
Didn't
Furbies.
they have like contest winners for the original
Oh,
Furby?
they did, yes.
And like those are like extremely rare too.
Yeah, there's only one of each of those that exists.
And
of
those
the original
aren't
Furbies,
those
'cause
over
they
like
were,
$1 million?
If someone were to sell them, I'm
Or
sure.
are they not? Are they not for sale?
They only made one of each.
Okay.
There was 2 contest winners, and they made the Furby, and I believe there's only one that exists, as far as I know. I'm sure that person still has them.
Cycling back to these disgusting 2005 generation Furbies, what is the value of this Furby?
Like, how much are they?
Yeah, how much are they going for
they're
now?
expensive. Oh, they're expensive.
How are they
Hundreds.
expensive?
Hundreds.
Is it because
they're
they
rare.
were so rare?
They're rare. They're hard to find
because no one wanted to buy them.
Because they barely were made. A lot were made of the original because they did well,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously they dwindled. So less. That's why the more recent ones, like the last ones that they ever produced of the original, are hard to find because they were barely made. At that point, sales were dwindling. But of the first few generations during its popularity, those are really easy to find. These ones didn't do well overall, and also not that many were produced, so they're very hard to find. The Funky Furbies are extremely hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
Like, new in the box, I get lucky if I even see a listing. They're usually like $1,000, pushing $1,000. Like, the cheapest I think I've ever seen of a new in the box Funky Furby was like $800.
Yeah.
I have not seen anything for less. And even like not new in the box, but good condition, but out of the box, still are like hundreds upon hundreds of dollars. I have not seen anything for cheaper. If you find one at a yard sale, maybe you find it for cheaper because they probably don't care about that thing.
Think about it. You can probably find a lot of these things at a
Oh,
yard
probably.
sale.
I mean, I'm a bit more picky about that, but just in general, I'm sure you'd be able to find something. These ones would be a lot harder though, because I don't even know. Like in this current year, maybe in previous years they'd be easier to find because as time goes on, they get harder to find because more people sell them. More
Looking
people buy
at
them.
it, I don't know what child could have possibly wanted that.
I mean, maybe at the time, because For Real Friends and people were had a different mindset when it came to how their toys looked.
I don't know. I mean, I was just born
They're a
at
little
2005.
creepy.
If I saw that thing when I was 6 months old, I would cry.
They're a little ugly. Oh, fun fact about these ones. There's a cameo for them in the Transformers movie.
What?
Transformers 2007, whatever Transformers movie came out that year. There's a cameo of them. There's a truck that gets crushed, and it has a big picture of these Furbies.
You're
on
gonna
it.
have to show me later, because
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
No, it's a real.
That sounds
You can
fan-made.
put the clip in your thing. No, there's a big shot, and that's why I find it so weird because these ones are so ugly and the worst representations of Furbies ever, but they chose to put it in the movie.
At least
That movie sucks.
at least it get crushed.
It did get crushed. I believe Optimus Prime or whoever the fuck he's fighting. Sorry, whoever he's fighting probably smashed that truck.
As we've already talked about this Furby before, throughout this entire time, but just to get one solid answer, what went wrong with this Furby?
They just didn't do well. Bad
Yeah.
design for a Furby. Not a good direction.
Yeah, this only
And also
lasted
they
2
had
years.
they also had competitors, which is part of the problem. Again, For Real Friends was kind of a similar direction with a realistic looking. It's an animal to friend. That's why it didn't do well. Mostly because they had competitors. It's also just bad timing, I imagine. Bad design, bad timing.
Bad everything.
Bad everything. I'm sure Furby people are just like, what is this thing? I'd imagine. I don't know what their mindset was, but if I was a Furby person at the time and they came out
You'd be
with this, I
terrified.
would be like, what are you doing? I would be mad. Because I wouldn't know the direction we're going to go from this point on.
After this generation, the Furby brand took a long
It took a
vacation.
while. Understandably.
I think they needed that.
Not the longest one, but definitely.
No, it wasn't the longest one, but they needed it.
Yeah.
They really needed it
And at this point,
to get their minds fresh.
by the time they reached a new point of the 2012 Furbies, that era 3, kids toys had a very different direction. The 2010s was a very different era of kids toys and like personality. These ones are much more they're technicolor. This is when they started doing the colorful stuff. This was when the screen eyes were a thing. The screen eyes, the different personalities, having connections to apps and things.
As we
a lot
talk
more
about this, how long was this Furby era, and when did it start?
2012 was when these ones came out. They're like, oh, the new Furby. Their slogan was a mind of its own. These ones went for a much more different approach. They have plastic ears, very round egg shape. They brought back the face masks, like the little mask. They didn't have that in the 2005. I didn't mention that. They're the only ones that don't have it. But these ones brought back the mask, the little sensor thing that they have, which is part of the design. I think they stopped being a sensor after some point, but like they keep the little thing as part of the character.
Why did the Furbies have a sensor in the first place?
It was censored to light and also movement. It was part of their electronics.
Oh, that's very creepy.
Yeah, they don't have it anymore. Actually,
Good.
if you see of the originals, including the Shelbys, if you see it, if you film them on a camera, you can see a little red light.
That's actually very
Because
disturbing.
it's like it's scanning stuff. It's a sensor. You can see the.
Aren't there stories of people hacking
Oh yeah, but
Furbies? Or is that for another day?
that's a whole nother thing that I don't really know too much about. I know people. There's a later one that people like because it was Bluetooth that they would like do stuff with, but there's been many.
I apologize for getting off track, but that's
No,
just,
yeah.
how can I not mention that?
But in the 2012s, so this era kind of includes 2 different types of Furbies within this era.
Did they really try to like modernize
Oh,
the
yeah.
Furby? Is that the main goal
Yeah.
of this era?
This one was to try to modernize it, try to kind of do a new, more modern kind of iteration
Trying
of
to
them.
like elbows towards kids, like, hey, we're new and fresh.
They're very 2010s. I will say that just by the way they act. This one had a few colors for 2012 because this was before the Furby booms. They stopped producing them, I assume, when they made the Furby booms. They might have existed at the same time for a brief period, but they transitioned to the Furby booms, which are kind of part of the same family, but it was like a new version of them because they had the same electronics generally and the same design, but like more. The 2012s, there was it was like flat color, like just red ears. Black.
A lot more
black ears.
vibrant compared to the original
Oh,
Furby.
a lot more bright colors. They had different fur textures for these. Some of them had like more of like a kind of curly-ish texture. Some of them had more of a shaggy texture. They produced ones that had this little like tuft of hair on their head. Furbies have always had like a tuft of hair on their head. The original ones had like a puff, but these ones had more of like a troll kind of tip, but like smaller, which I ended up coming back in the current ones.
Yeah.
They also did this thing where they had this wave. This was kind of the first iteration of like a Furby, not the first Furby friend, because Shelby's technically counted as a Furby friend, where it's like it's a Furby but not really a Furby. This was like the first like smaller Furby, not a baby, because that comes later, but they're a Furby friend that's like physically smaller than the Furby, like by a significant portion. They made the Party Rockers, which when you look at these you would think these are some sort of Furby fake. That's a big thing. I could talk about those, but because Furby fakes, especially for the original, there's like hundreds of them.
There's hundreds of them.
There's
I assume
hundreds
people
of them,
wanted
'cause
to bank off
there's some
them.
that look like that just flat out look like them, but they have like a D instead of a B in the name. That's the whole thing. But these ones, they almost look fake because they don't have the typical ears. You could probably show some pictures of them. They have different beaks, different like mask shapes. They have their own. They're like their characters in a way. There's Fuzzbee, Lovebee, Twitbee, Scoffbee, Nerdby, and Whitby. They have different like ear thingies, very interesting, different voices, different personalities. They're very interesting. They're interesting direction they went here.
Something about these Furbies I wanted to mention to you is that apparently each Furby had a different personality you could get.
Yes.
Was that random, or did you like assign that
So
Furby personality?
you mean the 2012 ones?
Yeah,
So
the generation we're on.
these ones, the personalities would be there was a default one that they all started with, but the personalities were based on how you played with them. Especially for the Furby Booms, like there were how many? I don't remember exactly how many there were because there were different ones for each. Because the 2012 ones and the Furby Booms had different ones, but they were kind of similar, same genre. So the personalities for the 2012, which is the basic ones before the Furby Boom, it was evil, which is kind of like
Evil?
it was called evil or Viking personality.
You can get an evil Furby, like just
because they're like mean. They're like mean and aggressive. So this one says
you could actually just get something called an evil Furby.
Furby will be easily irritable. This can be unlocked by overfeeding them or rough play. For example, shaking. Popstar Diva, which can change its personality if they listen to music or you use the app, because this was when they first brought in the apps.
God, they were really trying to modernize
Chatterbox
this
Furby.
thing.
Chatterbox Furby resembles a valley girl. From talking to them, sweet, known as princess personality, friendly, sweet, crazy personality. It's usually a guy. Oh, some of them were girls versus guys. Sweet, because the girl voice versus they had different voices. That was a fun thing. That's
actually pretty cool.
They had different voices. Each personality, they had different eyes too. That was the fun thing about the electronic eyes. That each personality had different eyes.
They were definitely for this. It sounds like they were definitely trying to modernize.
Oh
it.
no,
It sounds
this
like
is probably the most complicated.
Yeah.
That's something I am disappointed that they took away was the personality.
they took away their life.
Because I find it kind of boring that Furbies are all the same again. Because you could have Furbies be different characters. There was Crazy, which was laughs a lot, kind of a jolly like personality, kind of jolly and like gross in a way. Because I think
Rambunctious.
Rambunctious, yes. And then Default was obviously the default one that it came with. But this was very fun. These Furbies, they had like different like sensors on their body because I think you could shake them, they would react to being shook. Furbies have always had like a feeding mechanic with their tongue. You press their tongue, they
have tongues.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard.
Their tongue is a button.
Oh, that's disgusting.
And because their beaks move. Their tongue is a button. They've always had the feeding mechanic. That was part of the other ones. These ones, they had a tail mechanic. You could pull their tail. It was like a button to make a click sound. That would be part of the stuff. Like different things that you would do would give them
Would
their
that cause them pain?
No, it was like they would react, but it wouldn't cause them pain.
I can just imagine one of their tails being pulled and they go, ow! Ow!
I wish I had a working one that I could like show or something. But then they had the Furby Booms, which is kind of similar. They went for more like patterns with these ones. They still are colorful. The masks are kind of a little bit of a different shape. They have like kind of like spikes on them almost, or like tips. The ears, they kind of cut like a hole into the ears. The ears have like a little hole marking for some reason, but they're still like the colorful plastic ears, plastic feet. These ones have patterns. So there's a bunch of patterns with these ones. They're very like clunky colors. I don't mind the colors, but they're very like, it is a choice. And this one had a few special editions. Like they have an Easter one, a festive sweater, which is kind of a Christmas one, and they had a metallic blue one. They didn't Furbies at this point hadn't really done like big holiday editions like they did with the original. They haven't, like, at least until the current one, they haven't really done anything like that. And then they had the crystal Furby Booms, which is they made Furby Booms again, but crystal. They have like a crystal mask, crystal ears. There was a special thing in the app that would happen if you had a crystal one. And each one of these Furbies had a Furbling that matched it. Some of the Furby Booms don't have a matching Furbling for some reason. I don't know why this is the case, but there's a Furbling for almost all of them that matches. So Furblings were the first, like, there's been Furby babies in the past. I think every other iteration except for 2012 technically had a Furby baby of some sort.
They all had some like mini version of themselves.
Everyone's had a mini version, but of characterized as a baby. The Furby Boom, the original Furby did have Furby babies, which were kind of like slightly smaller, but they were characterized as babies. The 2005s had babies. Again, they were a very different shape, smaller, and were characterized as babies. 2012 didn't have anything like that. Furby Booms, they have Furblings. They match a parent. They specifically match one of the ones that exist, and they are round. They're small. They function. The only function is that they have a button on their head to make them talk, and they connect to the parent. The interesting thing, which I forgot about this, but like the interesting thing about these Furbies was because they connected to the app, they would emit this high-pitched noise to connect to the app. It also connect to other Furbies, which was interesting. That's how they would communicate with the app and with each other. And the babies had this as well. There's a special edition of the Furblings. There's an Easter one. There's not a festive one for some reason, but there's also a golden Furbling, which is like the special edition of the Furby 2012 era.
Oh,
I'd say.
assume that goes for money.
Probably. I have one because I got it from Toys R Us because they just had them there at the time. I think I got it for my 10th birthday. It's one of those birthdays, maybe 10th, 11th, because they just had them. So I happened to get it while it was in store. So that was bad. Ooh, one of the Furby friends, special edition, kind of separate category of this era was the Furbaka, which is a Furby Chewbacca thing that they made, and I have that one. Thankfully, that one sells for a lot because again they had them in stores. I happened to get it, which I was lucky about. This one had its own app. This one had a Star Wars Furby app. It had its own app.
Oh, that's kind of
that's
really
cool. You can
get
its own like Furblings within the app. Oh, the app had Furblings in it.
Something I was going to jump on as soon as you stopped speaking was, can you describe the app to us?
Oh yeah, the app.
Because I assume with phones being so like
mobile game,
like mobile games, like kids wanting phones.
Oh yeah.
I assume Furby made an app to also hop on. Like Furby is kind of like a trend hopper brand.
Oh yeah, no, it absolutely is.
They kind of just like feeding off what's hot and new.
Yeah.
So what did this app do?
And the app because the original one was kind of boring. The 2012 one didn't really have much going for it. For the Furby Boom app, it really was characterized. Furby Booms are really characterized in having babies because they lay eggs. They had the Furblings. The Furby Boom app really catered to the Furblings, but you could like feed your Furby. It would react to it. The connection. You could feed it. You could like play games with it and stuff. And obviously the Furblings, you could get Furblings in the game. Your baby could, you can get them without the Furby. You could play the game without the Furby technically and have Furblings. But with the Furby, you could like have them like help with the egg, or they could like, there were eggs that were like Furblings that did not match existing Furblings because they just existed in the game. There were new patterns and stuff. So you can get a lot. Obviously the Furblings that you had could connect to the game and like, you could get a Furby from the game. They had like these little minifigures at one point that like you could get a Furbling from them because they had like a barcode on them. But the game was mostly about like you have a Furbling, you hatch the Furbling, they have a little room. You could give them items, you could feed them, you could play games with them. That was kind of the most part of it.
But it had a lot more it made the Furby like a lot more interactive, I assume.
Yes. And speaking of the app, with the next era, the Furby Connect, which did the worst, I would say.
Really?
Unfortunately. I mean, it was discontinued. I wouldn't even say, it wasn't even the way that the other ones were, because it only lasted for 2016. I think it was discontinued because I think of how poorly it was made.
Before we go on to this generation, did the 2012 Furby like end, or did it just go straight into Furby Connect? And what went wrong? Did anything go wrong with that generation? I don't think anything
went wrong with it. I think they just kind of moved on for some reason.
They kind of just like dropped it.
They kind of just dropped it when the Furby Boom came out. And the Furby Boom, I guess, just kind of fizzled out. I don't really remember it.
How much does each one cost in like today's market?
I mean, they're honestly, I feel like they're hard to find. I don't really see them very often. Like, I barely see 2012s. And the merchandise that came with those. I don't really see them very often because also the difference was that you can't see them in the box. At this point, they started making boxes where like
was it blind boxes?
Not blind box. You knew what it was, but like it's really hard to know for a fact if someone's actually selling it because you cannot tell unless they open the box to show you that it's in there. You could tell if it has not been taken out of the box if they open it, but then it still has to be open for you to actually know that there is a Furby in there. So it's kind of hard to trust someone to buy it because from this point on, including to this day, they started a trend where the box is just like, I mean, I could show you a picture and you could.
What the box did, it showed the picture.
They just look like that. You can't see them at all.
Oh,
so you have no way of knowing.
It showed an image.
It's just an image of it. You don't actually know if someone's actually.
It showed an image of the Furby that was being sold instead of.
So it's hard.
Showing you
I feel like it's pretty hard probably to find them new in the box. The Furby Booms, I don't see them very often, so they're kind of hard to find. But they probably sell for like I'd say between 50 to 100. I haven't really looked that much into those ones just because
that's still too much for a Furby.
The original price for them was already like pushing like 60, so that's honestly not that bad given that they're not made anymore.
Going on to the Furby Connect, what was wrong with it? What happened?
It just was very glitchy because they were doing too much. I like them. I'm really sad that they didn't get to make because they
wasn't
were very
Bluetooth connected.
It was Bluetooth connected. They had this little antenna on their head that you could play with. They were very interactive. They're very soft. The app was very interactive with them because they had an app too, but it was different. It was very much more modern. You had like real like Furblings that you could move around and play with. It was kind of like it was like Furby Connect World was what it called. They had Furblings and stuff. You could connect with the parent, but you could also just play it yourself because you could just get Furblings from it. There was a lot, and like this game was so baby oriented that they definitely would have made Furblings for this line, but it got discontinued. They only made 6 of them because did they make 6? No, they only made 5. They made a blue one, a teal one, a pink one, a magenta one, and a coral one. That was all that they made. They would have absolutely made more, but it got discontinued because they were doing too much. The screen eyes were much more like cartoonish and had imagery and colors and stuff. The little antenna on its head would bloop and bleep and would flash different lights. They had like different like joints because they can move side to side a little bit. They had like kind of joints where they can move. Their ears would move a lot. Like they were just very much more complicated and they would be very glitchy. I have only one. I have a pink one, and it's not the first one I got. The original one that I had broke and made weird noises, so we got a new
How
one.
long did that one last you?
Oh, not that long.
Oh, okay, so
No,
they
not
were
that long.
so this generation was kind of bad.
It was not well made. That was the reason why it was discontinued, because it just was very glitchy. And even the one that I currently have, one of its eyes is like the screen doesn't work. It's like all glitched up. So it was
this is only just like a 1 year fad.
the reason it didn't do well is because it was discontinued because of its technology. I think it would have done fine.
They didn't. So
I'm really disappointed that they didn't continue this one, because I really wanted to see babies.
What you're saying is they didn't really improve upon the technology.
They just were doing too much.
Yeah, they were trying to.
They were trying to do too much with what they had, and it was just very. The reason it didn't do well is because of the technology, and I'm still very disappointed, because this is one of my favorites. I like the design. They have like a sleeping mask, because their sensor, quote unquote, is a button, because the sensor became part of the character design. It's not a sensor anymore.
Gotta get rid of those sensors, man.
I think it's cute, but like you would put the mask on, it was like a button that would make them sleep, and I thought that was really cool. I just really like these ones. I think they're cute. They're very soft. I'm very sad that this one didn't do very well, or didn't last, because I would have loved to see babies for this one, because they definitely were gonna make more colors. There's proof of like prototypes for a white one and a black one, but yeah.
With the end of the 2016 line, the brand took another long vacation.
Oh yeah, that was 2016. We didn't see a new iteration of Furby till 2023, which is the current era 5. They've been doing a lot with this one. They were trying something new. It's controversial. I'm used to them now.
Before we go into that, what are they trying to do? What's so different about this Furby compared to the others?
Different shape, different beak. The beak does not move, which that's a big thing. Different beak shape, different colors. I like the colors. I will say that they've been trying. They do colored beaks now, which I think is cool. I would compare them, because I've seen people say this, but I would compare them to kind of like, imagine breeding dogs, where you reach the point of a pug where it has a smush face. This is like the Furby equivalent of that.
So it's down the evolution line, okay.
It's got a smush face. They've been breeding them for too long. But I think they're cute. I'm used to them. I think the Furblets are much cuter than the big ones, just because their eyes, I'm not a fan of their eyes. And the characterization of these ones are okay. For this line,
but they're surprisingly doing very well. That's the part I want to touch on the most.
But I also don't see them very much. But
that's the part I want to talk to you about the most, is because they seem to be doing well. But
they're making a lot.
They're making a lot of money. They make a lot of Furbies. I've seen them in the stores, but however, I don't see them that often.
No, I don't. That's kind of been the thing about Furbies, though. I rarely see them in stores, but
The only thing I've been seeing about this brand are the Furblets and the DJ Furblets.
The Furblets are definitely.
Can you please go into depth about what both of them are?
So the Furblets for this brand, they're kind of this brand's equivalent of a Furby baby. They're not really characterized as Furby babies. They're kind of just like, I would see them as a smaller version of a Furby, like a Furby friend in a way. This brand has a lot of different types of Furbies, because the Furblets are characters. They each have a name going with their color palette. There's currently, of the main Furblets, there's currently 6 waves of them. Each wave kind of has a theme to some part. At least they started doing themes. And then there's several special editions. They brought back the holiday stuff big with this one. They have Easter ones, they have Halloween ones, they have Christmas ones, they have a birthday one, a Chinese New Year one. They're making a 4th of July one. They have collabs this time around.
Yeah, something I want to touch on is the collabs.
That's a new thing. The Reese's Furblet and the Peeps Furblet were fun. And they also, because this brand has, they've been doing Furby minis. I'm really happy about this. They have a line now of Furby minis, which is little plastic toy Furbies, which I think are really cute. They're like blind boxes and stuff. They have special editions of those. They have Christmas ones. They have the Hershey Kiss one, the Hershey brand ones. There's a bunch of Hershey brand themed ones. I really like those. They're making more. The main ones are like blind bags, but of like the main Furbies, they have the big ones. They have the Furblets, but they also made a thing called a DJ Furby, which is a Furby, but it's very long. Like imagine because long Furbies.
I've seen them.
About
I don't
Furbies.
know what is the point of that.
Long Furbies are a thing in the Furby fandom. I'm not really into that stuff, but that's the thing on the internet of people making Furbies, but making them long. They'll like add fabric and
like
stuff
a wiener
into
dog?
them. No, just making them like creepy. That's more the people who embrace the creepiness of them.
The creepiness.
So that's probably where they got the idea from. But these ones are just they're still cute. They just like imagine like a Dachshund, but it's a Furby. They have 2 sets of feet, so it's just longer and it's like plush inside. And they made Furblets for that one as well, which are just small ones of that. They're the Furblet versions of those. Same idea. They like stretch. They have like, they retract and stuff. They have cute little things to go along with that. But they also, something else is coming out. Another Furby, because they're making a lot of different kinds of Furbies for this one. There's the main Furby, the Furblets for that, the DJ Furby, the DJ Furblets. And now they're making something called Furby Vibes, which is it almost like...
You haven't told me anything about that.
I haven't told you anything about this
No.
one? Oh, because this one is like, I like how they look, because it kind of reminds me of the original Furby, because it's more of the shape of the original Furby. It's more of like egg shape rather than the really round look of the new ones.
When is this coming out?
I don't know if it's come out yet. I imagine soon. They've only shown like stuff at like the toy things.
The toy expos.
Yeah, toy expos. There's at least 2 colors that are going to be made because this one comes with accessories. That was something because 2012 had accessories and stuff. Like last of the thing they're bringing back accessories. These accessories seem to go specifically with this one. They have like reactions to them, I guess. If you could show a picture of what the DJ Furbies look like, this is as if the DJ Furby was not long. It just had the colors in like a white stomach and like a light up stomach. That's something about the DJ Furbies. And the same ears, and the beak might move. It kind of looks like it would be the one that moves. So it almost seems like they're just trying different things with this iteration, which is very interesting. Because I don't know if they're going to make any more of the basic Furbies of this one. They might just be moving forward with adding new stuff. But yeah, so they seem to be doing a lot with this one. I like them because I like that they're making Furbies.
Again, it's actually continuing.
Because they're making Furbies. I'm happy that Furby is doing well, and it seems to be doing well enough that they're still making more stuff. They're making more Furblets. They're making more Furbies in general. They're just making new Furbies. I'm sure they're going to make more DJ ones. There's new DJ Furbies coming out. There's, the Furby Vibes coming out. I'm sure they'll make more of the big DJ Furbies and more Furblets as the years go on. I'm hoping that's last for a while.
To wrap up this whole Furby fiasco we have on today, what is the Furby brand doing right with this generation? Because they clearly seem to be making a lot of Furbies actually, but no one seems to buy them. And like when we go to stores, we don't seem to anyone to buy them.
I don't know who's buying these. I mean, obviously I am, but like I feel like I don't know if kids really like Furbies. I guess they must because they're doing well.
It's also more like marketed towards like specifically girls now, which I've noticed.
Furby
it's become a very very girl toy.
It wasn't really originally. It was always kind of slightly more girl toy than not because those types.
But at the beginning, I thought it was more gender neutral.
Yeah, no, it was. The first iterations were definitely gender neutral, but toys like that often end up leaning more towards girls anyway, just because how kids tend to be. Girls are kind of push more towards
girls are pink, boys are blue.
Yeah, I mean, definitely by the Furby boom it was a girl's toy. I mean, they always show boys in the commercials every so often, but definitely by now it's a very girly pop kind of characterization of like, oh, girls. They always show a boy in there because again, boys can play with them.
It's like when Nerf tried to do the girl version.
Yeah, but it's still definitely the girl toy. But boys can play with them, but it's still definitely a girl toy.
So what are they doing right in this generation?
I would
to make
say
them not fall.
Anything, there's definitely a lot of nostalgia. People buying them because of nostalgia. This one really acknowledges, oh, the Furby is back, even though the Furby has come back several times. The advertising for this one is like, oh, Furby's back, wow. Even though there has been multiple times of Furby coming back. This one definitely like kind of not leeches off what the original had, but they definitely kind of harken back to the original a lot. But this one is just like, I don't know. I feel like because there's Furby people, especially now, because anyone who would have grown up with the previous Furbies would be probably an adult now. They probably have that market. They definitely go off of the nostalgia. They try to leech off people's nostalgia, and I just think like I don't know. I guess I'm not sure why it's doing well, honestly.
But you're happy.
I'm happy about it because I'm glad that they're making Furbies. I'm glad Furby's back because that means they're a little more relevant. I'm happy that I can start collecting Furbies and actually be able to see them in the store and not have to look on eBay. I think this is a great time for them to come out. I'm very happy that they're making Furbies again. Because then I have a chance where I'm able to buy them. But I'm just happy that they're making a lot of stuff. Because they must be doing well if they're making so much stuff.
Yeah.
They're making the minis. They're making the merchandise.
Because you seem to be so happy about it.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm happy.
Well, Sophia, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with me. It was an honor to hear your special interest. Mm-hmm. I hope to have you on soon once again. Because it seems like you have a lot more you're interested in.
Oh, absolutely.
If you are interested in more niche information like this, please make sure to check out the next coming episodes of this podcast, where I can guarantee you'll learn something you never knew before. And please stay tuned for more episodes like this. That's all I have for today for the Special Interest Podcast. And remember, no topic is too niche. Until next time.